What if your mother was a psychopath? Not the dramatic, knife-wielding killer from a slasher film, but quiet, controlled, charming. She pretends to love you while secretly controlling every part of your life. What if she had a spotless reputation, a thriving career, a smile so convincing the entire world believed she was a saint? And what if one day you found your beloved brother dead, floating lifeless in a river, and you don't just suspect your mother, you know she killed him? This isn't a story about finding the truth. It's a story about knowing the truth and being completely powerless to prove it. A tale about the complexity of the human psyche and the terrifying brilliance of one of the most chilling villains ever written on webtoon. This is Like Mother, Like Daughter. This is the Hair Psychopathy Checklist, an official psychological assessment tool to check people for psychopathy. This story's villain checks off a shocking number of things on this list. To properly understand her nature, we must step into the shoes of the person most affected by her. Her daughter and our protagonist, Somyoung-jil. Somyoung is the ideal daughter. She has impeccable manners, she's studious, and she follows every single one of her mother's rules, down to the letter. This is her mother, So-min-jil. Just like her daughter, So-min is perfect. Her career, her reputation, her outfits, everything is flawless. But there is one disturbing detail. This is how Somyoung sees her mother, as a garbled, dark mess of pixels. Sinister, all-knowing, all-seeing, a perfect human with a hideous, alien imperfection. From a young age, Somyoung understands her mother, that So-min didn't just strive for perfection, she demanded it. My Somyoung has to be perfect, she always says. And so, Somyoung adapts and complies. She never dares to cross her mother. She never dares to rebel. She is the perfect child, but her younger brother Myungjin is not. Myungjin acted more like a normal kid. He breaks the rules sometimes, like playing a video game or nicking a box of juice from the local store. He doesn't see why he has to strive for perfection, but Somyoung does. Because when their mother catches him slacking, she doesn't just discipline him, she humiliates him. There's something sinister about the brutal, cruel things she says to him. You really don't qualify to be raised by me, she says. Because to So-min, the value of a person is determined entirely by how perfect they are. Myungjin is beyond help, she says to Somyoung. It would have been perfect if you were my only child. As if Myungjin didn't even deserve to exist. This horrifies Somyoung because in spite of their differences, she loves her little brother. Unfortunately for her, her mother gets her wish. One day, while playing after school, Somyoung searches for her brother, only to find his dead body, floating lifeless in a river. Terror, pure terror, overtakes her, and even through the wild panic, Somyoung notices some strange things about the scene. She notices that her brother didn't cough up any water, even though he supposedly drowned. She notices the empty box of apple juice that her mother gave to him still in his hands. And she notices that even though her mother was bawling her eyes out, she secretly seemed to be smiling to herself. Somyoung is clever. She snipes the juice box as evidence and decides to do something about it. She wants to take it to the police, to have them examine it and question her mother. She wants answers. She craves justice. But she has no idea what she is up against. So-min is a master of control, and one of her ways of doing that is total surveillance. She has cameras all over the house, in their bedrooms, and even gets camera footage of them from their school. She tracks their location on their phone at all times, listens in on their phone calls, and reads all of their messages. She knows Somyoung has the juice box, and she simply gets into her room at night and steals it back. But she doesn't hide or destroy it. No, she does something so much worse. She sends Somyoung a simple text message. "I left what you were looking for on your desk." And she leaves the box on Somyoung's table as a clear taunt, a show of total dominance. The fear that Somyoung feels at this moment is visceral. Even as a reader, you can feel it. Somin is showing her daughter that she is nothing, just a puppet dancing in the palm of her hands. But Somyoung doesn't give up. In spite of her fear, she tries to go and talk to the police. But what can she say? What do you say about a model citizen of the community without any evidence? In a world where mothers are placed on a godly pedestal, who will believe she committed the murder of her own son? And even if they did believe her, even if they threw her mother in prison, what then? She has no father, no other relatives in the city. Where would this child go? The author handles this moment with raw, painful realism. We're right there with Somyoung, paralyzed by fear, consumed by grief. We watch helplessly as she fails to speak to the officers, as she screams in anguish for her brother and then passes out from the shock. Her mother has completely overpowered her. And she doesn't stop there. Somyoung decides to lie low, to wait. She tells herself she'll grow up and become stronger and make her mother pay for her crime. She decides to keep the peace, but her mother doesn't let her rest. Every morning, she serves apple juice with breakfast, the exact same juice Myungjin drank the day he died. It's a calculated psychological attack, a test to see if Somyoung will break. A twisted reminder that she knows Somyoung's mind inside and out. Somyoung doesn't react. She holds it together, just long enough to get into her room and throw it all up. The anxiety that Somin evokes is masterfully written. Her psychopathy completely warps Somyoung's worldview as she grows up. It shapes everything about her psyche, especially the way she treats other people. In school, Somyoung keeps her head down, mirroring her behavior at home. No matter what happens, if you pretend nothing's wrong, if you behave perfectly, everything will be fine. The clearest example of this is her friendship with a girl named Namsu. While it initially starts out well, Namsu quickly turns on her. She becomes jealous of everything Somyoung appears to have. She comes from wealth and has a mother who appears to be loving and involved in her life. All things that Namsu doesn't have herself. Namsu begins lying and using Somyoung's expensive items and photos to fake being rich. And this makes her spiral into compulsive lying at school. She lies about her family, her home, her job, and about the guys that are interested in her. To cover up her lies, she begins to lie about Somyoung. She frames her for theft, cheating, and bullying. She tries her hardest to ruin Somyoung. And Somyoung never fights back. Not because she fears confrontation, but because she is terrified that her mother will find out and murder Namsu. This is something even the readers predict, and in a way, they want it to happen. In the comments, they seem to be hoping for Somin to find out about Namsu, for her to do something about it, saying they're on Somin's side this time, and how Namsu would learn her lesson 6 feet into the ground. We feel protective of our protagonist. Namsu has targeted Somyoung relentlessly, all the while Somyoung is still grieving the loss of her little brother. Namsu has lied so much that she comes off utterly unhinged and embarrassing. Someone who Somin would say is broken, beyond any help. But what does it mean to be beyond help? Does a child telling lies for attention really deserve death? Does a teenager deserve to be murdered for not being able to control their jealousy? Yes, she bullied Somyoung and could have really hurt her reputation, but is it right to wish that her mother finds out about it? This is the brilliance of this author. They don't want to distance you from the way Somin thinks. They don't want you to see her as a monster you can't understand. They show us someone who appears beyond help, someone you truly hate. They almost make you cheer for Somin as she begins to stalk her own daughter to find her bully. And they ask you, does this child deserve a chance to grow? Or is death the punishment they need? Somyoung doesn't think so. In fact, the idea of Namsu being hurt terrifies her because she has already lived through this kind of loss. She says, despite all the horrible things she did to me, all I could think of was her playful dimpled smile, the fresh scent of perfume on her hair. Her actions or personality aside, those things could only be felt from a living, breathing person. It was the energy of life that could only be felt from someone who wasn't dead. Somyoung stands in stark contrast to her mother. She is shaped entirely by Somin's presence, warped by it, but she is not the same. Her mother sees people as monoliths, who are either perfect or beyond repair. And most importantly, Somin sees no value in human life. Which is why she begins to stalk Somyoung and Namsu, keeping tabs on everything they were doing. Somyoung catches wind of this and she panics. She knows what this means. Somyoung does everything in her power to make things okay with Namsu and end the feud, to keep Namsu close beside her so she can keep an eye on her at all times. Interestingly, Somyoung started to resemble her mother a bit here. She was overbearing, demanding Namsu be with her at all times, that she do nothing alone. She even tracked Namsu's location on her phone, just like her mother. But it was all for nothing. Namsu was an insecure, jealous teenager who grew to recognize the folly of her actions. Namsu was a bully who changed and deeply regretted the hurt she caused Somyoung. She apologized sincerely. Namsu was a child who was looking forward to improving and being better in her life. Namsu was murdered by Somin-jil. She was found dead in a remote location and her death was written off as suicide. This breaks Somyoung completely. She cracks. It is all too much for her to handle. She cannot even react to Namsu's death properly because her mother's watching, always watching. In a mad desperation, she tries to find proof of her mother murdering Namsu, an SD card that she hopes can prove that Namsu was with Somin the day she died. When Somyoung breaks into the SD card, there's no video, just a single text file. Its name is the date Myungjin died. Inside is a note from her loving mother. You suspected me back then and you still do. Did you really think I wouldn't know? This is the cruel, cunning genius of Somin. She taunts her daughter once again, openly mocking her efforts to uncover the truth. She never confronts her directly. No, that would be all too clear a message. Instead, she acts perfectly normal in person as if nothing is wrong. She leaves Somyoung in a constant state of doubt, just enough uncertainty to keep her silent, just enough fear to keep her compliant. And Somyoung takes the only option she has. She pretends everything is fine. Even when she cries, even when she lashes out in terror, even when she fantasizes about killing her mother or killing herself and framing her for it, she does nothing. She waits. She waits to grow up, to gain power, to become strong enough to face the monster who raised her. She forces herself to smile. Somyoung's mother has beaten her once again. One of the questions in our mind is clear. Why is Somin-jil like this? What could have possibly happened to turn her into such a monster? Is she just a psychopath for no reason? Just to be a plot of the story? Like many psychological thrillers, is she just a villain to be the villain? No, Somin isn't a token to make the story engaging, but a character in her own right, giving us a fascinating glimpse into the complexity of the human mind. Her psychopathy doesn't arise from convenience or a tragic backstory. It comes from something far stranger. It comes from boredom. That's right, complete, abject boredom. Ever since she was little, Somin-jil was incapable of feeling positive emotions independently. She can't feel passions in life. There's nothing she cares about. She lives like a machine, checking all the boxes society laid out for a worthy life. But she is completely devoid of emotions while doing all this. Imagine nothing in your life brings you joy. Nothing excites you. Even a rat has a better life than you. This existence makes her feel like a walking corpse. It's so painfully empty that she wants to die. It's a strange kind of suicidal ideation I'd never considered before, born not from negative emotions, but the lack of emotions entirely. Soman's goal isn't to kill people, it's to feel something. And she lives in this empty hell until she finds something that makes her feel alive. Feeding off of other people's emotions. There it was. Finally. Passion, love, excitement, she could feel it all, as long as she stole it from someone else. She developed her strategy quickly. She would seek out people who radiated passion, people who had something she didn't. Then she would fixate on them, obsess over them, and try to mold them into her vision of perfection. But what is a perfect person? Soman doesn't have any understanding of the complexities of life and how emotions shape people's personalities. Her involvement always creates disaster for her target. A prime example of this was her husband and Somyoung's father, Gyeon. Gyeon was a simple, naive young boy in college who held a passion for playing the cello. To Soman, he was the perfect prey. Soman is gorgeous, intelligent, and confident, and this charms Gyeon instantly. She makes him fall for her, and when he asks her to be his girlfriend, she knows she's won. Then she begins to break him down. The best way to control someone and to get them to do what you want them to do is by degrading their self-esteem. This is Soman's expertise. She talks down to him, she makes him feel small and guilty. She makes him beg to stay in her life. She grooms him to see her as the better person in their relationship. And it works. She's able to control everything he does, while making it seem like his own decisions. She changes his entire wardrobe. He wanted to be a pediatrician, but she convinced him to do plastic surgery instead. She chooses how they plan their entire life. She finally has what she wants, someone who can never leave her. Someone who feels that she is always right. He will do what she wants and their life would be perfect, right? That is not how it works. As the years pass, they take their toll on Yeon. He's not perceptive enough to see what's being done to him, but he can feel that he's changing into someone he doesn't even recognize. He's lost all his youthful joy and happiness. He's become cynical, insecure, and resentful. This change alarms him, but he's too emotionally stunted to fix it. Soman's family buys him his own private plastic surgery practice, and it takes off, making him insanely rich. Suddenly, he feels that maybe Soman isn't better than him. Maybe he is better than Soman. He begins to lash out at her, because now he was the one who was never wrong. He wanted his wife to bend to his will. He was turning into Soman, and this is disgusting to her. Soman doesn't want to be with someone just like her. She despises herself. She wants someone with light in their heart so she can leech it. But Gyeon was turning dark, just like she is. She withholds affection from Gyeon. She treats him like dirt. And instead of divorcing Soman and losing his daughter and his practice, Gyeon decides it would be more economical to just have an affair. It is fascinating to see how he turned from this to this. The affair is not the only bad thing he does. Gyeon's most damaging action was forcing Soman to have Myungjin. Soman did not want a second child. She was fine with just Somyoung. She had a careful plan for her career since she was a teenager, and she was very close to getting the position she had always dreamed of. And that's when she fell pregnant. She wanted to take care of the situation privately and quickly, but Gyeon finds out about it and refuses to let that happen. He tells Soman's parents, who threaten to cut her off and kick them out of their house if she does not have the baby. Soman has no choice but to go through a debilitating pregnancy that destroys her career plan. Her health, her dreams, everything was ruined. She feels nothing but pure hatred for her husband and for her unborn child. This is where the true genius of the author shines to me. Somin is a horrible person. We hate her and fear her, but we can still feel how unjust this forced pregnancy was. Even though she's a murderous psychopath, there is something sick and perverse about her body being used as an incubator. How her dreams, decades in the making, and her mental and physical health were all destroyed for a child she never wanted. And the real cost of this decision wasn't Somin's ruined life, it was Myungjin's. Born into hatred, denied love from birth, he was never meant to survive. Destined to be despised by his own mother and to be murdered by her. Nothing good ever comes from a forced pregnancy. The author's approach of having such a complex, multifaceted plotline for what would usually be a two-dimensional villain won me over. This is someone with real writing chops and innate talent in character creation. And this especially comes through after Somin gets her revenge on her husband for cheating and forcing this pregnancy on her. It is one of the most horrific forms of revenge I've ever seen. It's so much worse than if she had just killed him. And no, I'm not spoiling it for you. If you want to know that badly, just go and read the author's comic. They deserve every single read. After the most horrifying revenge I've ever seen, Somin is left alone with her children. And once again, she's faced with that crippling boredom. Boredom that makes her want to die. She hates Myungjin and she finds So-myung to be incredibly boring because she's always compliant and dispassionate. She sees nothing of interest in her life, no reason to keep on living, until she murders Myungjin and discovers that her daughter suspects her of this murder. It's like a spark was lit in her life again. Somin isn't scared of her daughter suspecting her. She is overjoyed. She has once again found someone with a passion to feed off of. So-myung's passion is to catch her mother. The entire series, all the struggles So-myung goes through to try and catch her, is just a game to So-min. She enjoys toying with her daughter. She gets off on leaving just enough clues to get her hopes up. She murders Namsu simply because she sees So-myung is actively trying to prevent it. After all these years, So-min has finally found her perfect muse. So, how does the story play out? What does justice even look like in this story? Does So-myung ever become free? These are all questions that are yet to be answered because the comic is still ongoing. I highly recommend that you all check it out. I know it seems like I've revealed a lot of the story, but I've kept a lot of major things to myself. The artistry, the storytelling, and the twists are all so worth it. I can't wait to see what this author does next. If you watched the video this far, thank you so much. If you want to recommend a comic for me to read, join the Discord using the link in the description. Okay, I love all of you. Bye-bye.